Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Wine Coven! We have another special announcement. You swooped in and bought all of the tickets to the Gramercy Theater show. That show is sold out.
Sold out.
Bye-bye. So, we have a second live show in New York City in case you miss your chance at tickets.
That's right. We've added a second show. It's going to be at the Bell House in Brooklyn, New York on Sunday, July 9th. That happens to be my mom's birthday.
Ooh,
She will not be in attendance, but at least I have an excuse.
Just for me.
She's got better things to do.
She's got better things to do, but you don't. So you should be at the Bell House on Sunday, July 9th with us. The show starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Get your tickets now at wineandcrimepodcast.com. Once again, tickets are going really quick, so get yours today. Don't hesitate. It will definitely sell out.
We love the Bell House. We're so excited. We will see you on July 9th in Brooklyn. See you then.
You aren't exactly listening to Wine and Crime, but let me explain. So I am Kenyon, and there will be some worst Minnesotan accents to come, worse even than my own. Sorry, Frizz. But I recently had the distinct pleasure to record a crossover episode with my dear friends Bob and Frizz over at Rhythm on the Rocks podcast. They are an incredible podcast that merges whiskey, bourbon, all things booze with music. I don't know a ton about music, but I had so much fun talking murder ballads and kind of Southern Gothic jams with Bob and Frizz, and we wanted you all to hear it. So here on our regular Wine and Crime feed, we have part 1 of that crossover episode that I did with them. And if you want to hear the rest of it, you're going to have to head over to Rhythm on the Rocks podcast feed, wherever you listen to your podcasts, for part 2. And I hope you enjoy, because I certainly did.
Here on Rhythm on the Rocks, it's no surprise that we like to drink. And look, sober or not, this can include some adult humor, themes, or language. So just a heads up, listener discretion is advised.
We also want to remind our listeners that one of our favorite things about Rhythm on the Rocks is the specialized, funky, sometimes weird, but always specifically curated playlists that we create to go along with each weekly episode.
Our patrons know that half the experience is diving headfirst into the amazing music we talk about, discover, and uncover together. For just a few bucks, you can visit patreon.com/rhythmontherocks to become a patron and receive community Discord access, curated playlists, bonus media, giveaways, and more to come.
Again, head on over to patreon.com/rhythmontherocks to receive access to all these goodies. But most importantly, you're supporting Frizz and I. Thank you for your support, your reviews, and cheers. And with that, welcome to Rhythm on the Rocks. Well, hello there.
Hi friends, my name's Frizz and I'm your local live music loving Los Angelino, whiskey junkie and Scotch sweetheart, and
the more prepared out of the two of us today, I don't even know an adjective, so I'll just say, and she's great.
The audacity.
And my name is Bob, and I'm a spirits educator here in Louisville, Kentucky, a music educator, musician, and recording artist.
And the Thelma to my Louise.
You did so
was a good one.
I feel like it's fitting, right?
And welcome to Rhythm on the Rocks, where we take a deep dive into the world of rhythm and booze.
Here, we dig into some of the most interesting and amazing music throughout history that we think you should know about. And we even talk to incredible and interesting people all throughout the music, whiskey, and spirits industries while we share the same pour of something delicious.
Today, we're joined by a very special guest we're super excited to introduce you to. If you haven't already been lucky enough to hear her on the hilarious and boozy podcast, Wine and Crime, where she and her two best friends, Amanda and Lucy, all chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents. How did I do? I was so nervous.
You know, it's a tough one.
It's so hard.
I would give you a 7.
Okay,
That's solid.
That was good.
honestly, I was aiming for a 4 out of 10, and I got a 7. I'm happy with it.
Honestly, knowing Frizz, that's a number between 6 and 9, so she loves it.
I'm sorry, Mom and Dad, don't listen to that. So outside the podcast, she has traveled and lived quite literally all around the world, has helped start an unstoppable and bustling podcast in just a few years. I can personally say she's an impeccably creative interior designer, as her home is literal Pinterest goals. She's a loving wife and a thriving new mama, but really, let's be real, she's definitely the sexy Brad Pitt with the blow dryer gun to our Thelma and Louise.
Oh my God.
Yeah?
I wish I could rock some jean shorts like that, Brad Pitt. What a hunk. Isn't that don't you always say hunk? Bob?
Yeah, he's a hunk.
yeah,
He's very hunky.
He's the OG hunk.
OG
Yeah.
hunk.
Yeah.
So today we are here with our OG hunk, the lovely Kenyon Lang. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You guys, thank you so much for having me. I am such a big fan of the show, and I love what you guys are doing, and I love both of you as people.
Aw, likewise.
Before I introduce what we are drinking, though, Kenyon, since we did just have that Minnesota reference, do you have a favorite salad that doesn't include any kind of greenery? Because it's Minnesota.
Oh, so actually, one of my best friends, Scott, who we talk about a lot on Wine and Crime, he wrote his college entrance essay about making Jell-O salad with his
Oh my God.
family. It's the various salads that do not involve any raw or leafy greens are a very big part of our culture. And the base of those salads is usually mayo, or it could be, like I said, Jell-O, something floating in aspic is always good. And, there's usually a Jell-O spread at, like, your funerals, your wakes, things like that. So
on to what we're drinking. Naturally, with Kenyon, it's a no-brainer that we have to drink some wine and chat about something that all three of us are really into. And that's good old-fashioned songs about killing people, murder ballads.
absolutely.
And as far as wine goes, we decided to kick off this beautiful early spring with something a little bit lighter, a rosé.
Yes. Ready for spring.
Let's just definitely jump right into this and start with the cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Big cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, I needed that.
I feel refreshed.
Ooh, this is yummy.
What exact rosés are y'all drinking?
I went with a Spanish rosé called Muga. I know nothing about it. There is a farmhouse on the front, so I thought it's got to be good.
Right?
I'm a sucker for walking through the wine rows, and if it says insert number and points, I'm like, well, that's got to be good.
Yes. Oh,
yeah,
right.
wine
It's been
enthusiast.
tested and
Yes.
ranked. Sure.
That also reels me in, but a good bottle design, I am such a sucker. It could be the worst wine ever, but I will pick it up if it has something cool on the bottle. Because I know nothing about wine in actuality, so I'm always just like, yep, that looks great. And usually it works out. I feel like I'm a cheap wine date anyway, so.
I don't know much about wine. That's more Amanda's territory on our show. Because she has a more of a sommelier adjacent background. And I'm like, I know what I like. But I am a little picky with rosés. And we created our own rosé with the podcast. And not to just shamelessly plug it, but it's called the Gals
away.
Rosé. And I freaking love it. I think it's so good.
So where can somebody grab the Wine Gals' wines?
Oh, I love how much you are alley-ooping my plug right now.
Right.
Oh, yes.
You can go to our website, wineandcrimepodcast.com, and there are tabs and links to purchase said wine.
Then you can go to any major podcasting platform, listen to the podcast, and drink along with them. Like, it's just plug and play. Puzzle pieces right there.
There you go. There you go, folks. We make it easy.
They made it so easy. So, Kenyon, Normally, you're the one that's knee-deep in wine and wine-related activities. But since you're our guest, we thought we'd take the pressure off of you so that you can just sit back and relax. You've earned it.
Okay.
And we're going to tell you a little bit about what we learned. So Frizz, take it away.
Okay, so when the weather starts heating up and the ice starts melting, if you will, that's always the time where I'm kind of like putting away the heavy whiskeys and, the smokier things like a Lagavulin or an Ardbeg, if you know what those are.
Oh, that Californian ice.
I only know Lagavulin from Ron Swanson on Parks and Rec.
Yes, and I'm still waiting to
him.
try his version of Lagavulin. He has a 10-year Lagavulin. I'm like, I need it. But yes, I trust anything he endorses. And so when I start putting those away, I go for more, lighter, kind of hotter weather, summery drinks and maybe a nice gin cocktail, maybe an Irish whiskey, but also definitely a nice rosé. So we started looking into a little bit about the history and kind of what rosé is all about.
There's a lot of popular types of rosé wine. The most common grape varieties used are Pinot Noir, Cab Sauv, Grenache, Syrah, and Sangiovese.
Oh, nice.
Nailed
I did not
it.
know how to say that word.
He nailed it. I think. I don't know. I'm not Italian.
I feel confident.
I think you did.
Yeah.
The taste of rosé wine is typically light and fruity. Not very tannic, so it's just really an easy entry point for someone that's not dipped their full foot into the wine world.
For sure. And whenever I'm drinking wine, I always try to learn what foods pair really well with that wine. So I know it's a whole experience in your mouth, and I always want to try and figure out what I should be eating, what I should be eating with my wine. So I looked it up, and rosé wine pairs well with a variety of foods, including Mediterranean fare, pork and charcuterie, shellfish, tomato dishes, and creamy white cheeses like brie, mozzarella, or feta.
So basically just transport yourself to Provence. And you're sitting outside on a patio and you can see lavender fields in the distance. And the sun is perfect. It's warm and tanning you, but it's not too hot. You're not sweaty. And then you just have a big charcuterie and cheese board spread. And you're like, what would go great with this? Friggin' rosé, man.
I'm here with you.
Yeah.
It'll also pair really well, though, with grilled fish. So, hey, we're still in the ballpark. Chicken, spinach, duck, lamb, and sushi.
Oh.
And on top of that, I was super surprised to find out that apparently rosé also pairs well with hot dogs, Spam, because that's what I think about when I'm drinking rosé wine, Spam sandwiches and hot dogs.
Yeah, slightly different than the fantasy that I laid out earlier. I will say still on brand because the Spam Museum, which I have been to, is in Minnesota.
The Spam Museum is in Minnesota.
State-of-the-art facility.
The influx of Minnesotian in there, it just never gets old.
So I guess to tie a bow around it, your rosé can transport you to Provence for a magical day. But it can also transport you to Bucksnort, Tennessee for a rip-roaring, rootin'-tootin' good time with your hot dog.
There you
Hell
go.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a versatile drink, you guys. Rosé.
Truly. So we always like to start off the episode with a little bit of what we're listening to this week. So, I mean, what's been on your current rotation?
I have not had a ton of music listening time this week beyond lullabies, baby songs, which are absolutely taking over my Spotify. And I feel like they should know, my Spotify Wrapped is already fucked for this
So
year.
is ours from the podcast. Everything that we listen to, that's our top songs.
Right. I feel like Spotify should know, you should be able to mark, this doesn't count in my Spotify Wrapped. And, if you listen to Sleepscapes or whatever, it's your most played song in 2023 was... So a lot of kids' songs that don't count, but what I am listening to and really enjoying this week is a lot of Miley Cyrus's new album.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would be a Miley Cyrus person, but she's actually really talented.
She really is. She has totally grown on me.
Yes.
I think, as she got older, her voice became that really raspy, gritty voice. It has only improved her music. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious, have you heard about the whole Clara Pierce drama
No.
as well.
I'm out of the loop.
So the same day her album dropped, another album dropped by this unknown artist on Spotify called Clara Pierce, Clara Pierce. It is Miley Cyrus. Like, there's no doubting that this is Miley Cyrus, but it's a bunch of unreleased songs that are Miley Cyrus's that we're assuming. No one's confirmed it yet, but there's no Instagram presence for this artist. She doesn't exist anywhere. Everyone's trying to find her, but it dropped on the same day as her newest album. And apparently it's unreleased songs that she legally could not release under her name for XYZ reasons.
Oh, shit.
I'm going to hit you with highbrow and lowbrow.
For songs?
Okay.
Highbrow, my girlfriend and me this week, we went to go see Ben Folds with the Cincinnati Symphony. It was an amazing show.
So sick.
He's one of those rare pop artists that his music actually is enhanced by the tools of a symphony orchestra because he's just so smart and such a great writer.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my highbrow.
Cool.
My lowbrow, as the weather turns, as the sun comes out, I've been listening to Alan Jackson's Way Down Yonder on the Chattahoochee.
Oh, yeah. Well, we're going to talk about the Chattahoochee.
Yeehaw.
Oh, my God. Alan Jackson kind of slaps.
Imagine yourself with a mullet on a jet ski.
Yeah, yes. And a cold one.
Chattahoochee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
Frizz, what have you been listening to?
I've been going down the rabbit hole of the best early 2000s bangers featuring Shana Paul and Maya and Ludacris and all of the people that...
Fat Joe.
Yeah, Fat Joe, Ashanti,
Mace.
Ja Rule, Mariah Carey, all of them.
Oh.
And I can't think straight because Chattahoochee is playing in my head.
If I had $1 for every time I said that.
I had the Shana Paul CD.
Oh, so good.
So into all that.
These are names that I'm aware exist.
Bob, be prepared for my 20th high school reunion, okay?
yeah,
Deal.
exactly.
Okay, I will. I'll bring you a Minnesota salad. All right, well, we've hit the point in this episode where it is time, if you both are ready, to play a game. Are you ready?
Hell yeah.
I'm nervous.
They're all multiple choice. You all decide the answer you want. So what you all are playing for is the ability to choose the theme of this week's Patreon playlist. But as an added bonus, if you win, Kenyon, I will provide to you a Rhythm on the Rocks t-shirt of your choice.
Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, I've got to win. Okay, get your head in the game.
Not as many people have spent the last few years of their life, Kenyon, reading about and talking about crime as much as you have. So for today, you both together need to match the crime with the musician.
Oh, okay.
Ooh, okay.
Which musician stole $40,000 in Cadillac tires? Was it A, James Brown, B, Barry White, C, Al Green, or D, Smokey Robinson?
I have no idea, so I am guessing.
Same.
James
If I
Brown.
had to choose from those four, James Brown, final answer.
All right, sadly, it's Barry White.
Oh!
Apparently, he turned his life around after hearing the Elvis Presley song, It's Now or Never, and he decided to straighten up.
Elvis does touch many lives.
All right, you're 0 for 1. You need 6 right to win.
Starting off strong. Let's go.
Who started a forest fire when his truck went up in flames? Was it Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, or Hank Williams, number 1?
Let's say Waylon Jennings.
I'm down with that.
It was Johnny Cash.
No way!
500 acres of land and 49 California condors were killed in the fire.
What is a California condor?
It is an endangered bird.
Oh, no!
Yes.
No!
So I included that one in there because I know of Kenyon's love of Johnny Cash's music.
I wrote to them and I was like, look, I know that it's Murder Ballads and Johnny Cash, but I fucking hate Johnny Cash, okay? I'm just going to say it. I don't like Johnny Cash. Everyone, to each their own. But
This is a battle you have fought before because I can see the PTSD arising as you're talking about
Oh, there's so much Johnny. He's like everywhere. He's so overplayed. I don't get it. It's like, do you really like Johnny Cash or do you just think you need to like Johnny Cash?
But he walks the line.
How many movies? I'm over it. It.
All right, I think this is where the game is going to turn around for you. I believe in you,
I
both.
hope
right.
so. It's been really fucking tough, Bob.
Frizz won every game last year and has only won one this calendar year. This is
Yeah.
my year.
I was undefeated in 2022.
And defeated in 2023. Which musician was arrested while wearing a dress and urinating on a cenotaph dedicated to those who died at the Alamo? Was it Jim Morrison, Michael Bublé, or Bobbie, if you prefer? Ozzy Osbourne or James Taylor?
Ozzy.
Down with Ozzy.
All right, yeah, you got it. Good job. It's your first guess. All right, Frizz, Kenyon, which rapper was arrested after crashing his car through a gate at JFK Airport? He told the first responders on the scene that it was okay and they need to leave him alone because he's a federal agent. Was it Jay-Z, Tupac, Vanilla Ice, or DMX?
Ooh, DMX has gotten
This
in a
feels
lot of trouble.
DMX.
But also Vanilla Ice was a mess and a drug addict for a while, and now I think he's turned his life around.
I feel like I have this like old memory of hearing something about DMX on this.
Okay. He did go to jail.
He did. I don't know if I should trust it. And
We'll do DMX.
okay.
DMX is correct.
Oh my God.
Two
Okay.
right.
Yay.
Good
I'm
job,
so glad that
Frizz.
worked out. I'm sweating.
All right,
Thanks.
you're 2 right, 2 wrong.
Okay.
Which musician was arrested for a string of petty crimes? The memorable part here is that he happened to be at one of Johnny Cash's early prison concerts and said that it changed his life.
Oh, wow.
Was it Merle Haggard, Bob Dylan, Ludwig van Beethoven, or Lou Reed?
I'm thinking either Merle or Lou.
You're not thinking it's Beethoven?
It's not Beethoven.
Probably not Beethoven. Do you want to say Lou Reed?
Yeah, I'm down with Lou Reed.
Lou Reed.
It was Merle Haggard.
Dang.
Bob.
All right, so you're still 2 right, 3 wrong. You're not out.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
we're
Not
still
out at
good.
all. You're still fine. You're still fine.
This is really hard. I'm 0 for all of them.
Who was arrested during a London performance of Cinderella after yelling at the stage calling the stepsisters bitches? Was it Charlotte Church, Amy Winehouse, Adele, or Ginger Spice?
I'm going to say Ginger Spice.
Okay.
Okay.
Adele. Sorry, Adele.
Where are we?
We're splitting a
So if
ticket.
it's okay. If it's
You're splitting.
all right, how about this? If it's either one of those, I'll give it to
Okay.
you.
Okay, fair.
Because it's Amy Winehouse.
Damn it!
So, all right, this is the point where we need to go on a winning streak. All right, we have hit that point.
Easy.
We need to sober up. Let's go.
All right, you need all of the rest of them right.
Okay, we got this. Never felt more confident in my life.
Okay. Which musician was arrested for making a fake audio sex tape, no images, complete with bed squeaks and grunts? Was it George Michael, Rod Stewart, Frank Zappa, or Phil Collins?
George Michael, I don't think George Michael would do that.
He was caught with some other sex thing, right? But it was just
Yeah, but he was making that happen.
yeah, right, yeah.
Good for him.
Frank Zappa, weird.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would probably say Frank Zappa, my gut reaction.
Yeah,
You are correct. The winning streak has started.
we did it. We did
I
it.
started it.
Which band was arrested for public urination after not being allowed to use a gas station bathroom because the owner didn't like people with long hair?
I don't know any of the hair bands. Okay, continue.
Was it The Who, The Beatles, Christian band DC Talk, or Rolling Stones?
I think it's Rolling Stones.
And the Rolling Stones would just kind of piss anywhere, and I don't see little baby Paul McCartney doing that.
Aw.
I'm gonna say Stones.
It is the Rolling Stones. The winning
Yeah.
streak is continuing.
Yes!
Yes.
I had a vague memory of this.
Mick Jagger told the gas station owner, "Man, we'll piss anywhere."
Yeah, yeah.
And then they did. Which frontman was arrested in Miami after asking an audience, "Would you like to see my cock?" And then he waved his wang.
Oh my God.
Arrested in Miami.
Yes. Was it Axl Rose, Jim Morrison, Bruce Springsteen, or John Bon Jovi?
On stage.
On stage.
I think it's Jim Morrison.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
it
has-
is.
Okay,
The
yes.
winning streak is going.
We're doing
This is the greatest comeback in history.
This might be the greatest comeback in history.
Yes, this is better than the Red Sox. I'm just
If you
kidding.
get one more right, this is the greatest comeback in history.
Okay.
Okay.
Who was arrested for ditching a court-mandated rehab stint after he was recognized at a Philadelphia McDonald's drive-thru? Was it ODB, Harry Connick Jr., The Weeknd, or Lars Ulrich from Metallica? Start eliminating names.
I'm going to take out the weekend.
Taking out the weekend. Yeah.
So then you're now left with ODB, Harry Connick Jr., or Lars Ulrich.
Did Harry Connick Jr. ever have a messy face? I don't think so.
I don't think so. He's always been pretty loved by mothers everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a hunk. He's a jazz hunk.
Yeah.
gonna take
Take
him
him
out,
out.
too.
Okay, so we got ODB.
And Lars Ulrich. Where's Metallica from?
San Francisco. Yeah, California.
So it's got to be ODB.
yeah, it's ODB.
That is correct.
Yes,
The greatest comeback in history was completed.
Yes. I love it.
Dude, the win is so much nicer when you have a partner. Thank you for being here, Kenyon.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I cannot believe we turned that around. All right. Sweet.
All right, good job.
Thank you.
Good job. You win.
So now we get to pick the Patreon playlist, and we can figure that out another time, but that'll be a fun pick for us to figure out what we want to do for that theme.
I like the idea of the theme being a mullet riding a jet ski. But if that's not your background, then maybe we should hold off. Maybe, Bob, you should do that for Frizz one day.
That might be the 4th of July playlist. Mullet on a jet
Yeah,
ski.
mullet on a jet ski is for 4th of July. Okay, so we'll pick something else for this one. Okay.
So, the traditional guidance with fertility has been like, I don't know, just wait and see, poke around down there, see what happens, Yeah. But now we have all these tools to help us plan for and track everything in our lives, our wellness, our finances, our careers, our schooling. So, why is fertility still wait and see? It doesn't make any sense. And that is why modern fertility was created. Take it away, my friends.
Oh, modern fertility is so nice. It is an easy and affordable way to test your fertility hormones at home, the comfort of your home, our favorite thing in the world, with a simple finger prick. So you just do that, you mail it in with a prepaid label, and you'll get your personalized results within 6 business days. It is lightning quick. I was shocked at how fast it came and how much information that gave me. So you'll get insight into your hormone levels, like your ovarian reserve and other important factors that can impact your fertility. These results go deep into what every hormone means. It's quite educational. And you can also download these results to review with your doctor for next steps. And traditional hormone testing at a fertility clinic can cost over $600. It is wildly expensive. But modern fertility tests the same general set of hormones for only $179. And guess what? If you go to modernfertility.com/gals, you can get $20 off your test. So math, that's $159. It's a fraction of the price.
Love it.
Plus, if you're a fan of found money like I am, you can get reimbursed for the test through your FSA or HSA. I love that so much. So if you want kids today, or maybe just one day in the future, maybe you're just curious about your own body, clinically sound information can help you make the decision that is right for you.
Yes. Right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/gals. That means your test will cost $159, which is a fraction of what it would cost at a fertility clinic. Get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/gals, modernfertility.com/gals, and treat your knowledge.
Treat it.
All right, enough yapping, enough games. How about we just drink more and dip into these murder ballads?
Let's do it.
Oh, yeah.
So you may be asking yourself, what is a murder ballad? Well, in short, the ballad implies that the song is about an event. And in this case, it's going to be something dark and gruesome. It's not a candy ballad, it's a murder ballad. Typically, a murderer kills and then is brought to justice, often by the victim's family, and almost always in an equally grim way.
Murder ballads are just about as old as the ballad itself, and many can be found in traditional Scandinavian, English, and Scottish music.
You just described my heritage. So it makes sense that I was like, I love murder ballads. What is it about murder ballads that I love? It's like, oh, well, I'm Norwegian and Scottish.
These are your people.
Yeah.
So in the US, several became popular hits in the 50s and 60s. The Kingston Trio's Tom Dooley hit #1 on the Billboard charts in 1958.
Hang down your head, Tom Dooley. Hang down your head and cry. Hang down your head.
Lloyd Price's Stagger Lee did the same in 1959.
On the corner, when I heard my bulldog bark, he was barking at the 2 men who were gambling.
And Lefty Frizzell, shout out to that name, The Long Black Veil was a hit for many people throughout the years, even recorded by Johnny Cash on his Folsom Prison Blues album.
We'll allow
Just
it.
for you.
10 years ago, on a cold, dark night, someone was killed neath the...
So, with all of that said, me, Frizz, and Kenyon are going to take turns sharing some of our favorite murder ballads or murder-adjacent songs, maybe.
Fun stuff.
We're going to give you some fun tidbits about them, and I'm happy to go first, but the order doesn't matter to me, so...
Set the tone, Bob.
Take the stage.
All right, I'll kick it off with one of my favorite songs about killing people, Mac the Knife.
The shark, babe, has such teeth, dear, and it shows them pearly white.
The year is 1928, and Kurt Weill and Bertois Brecht are nearly finished with their three-penny opera. This work is about a London murderer named Macheath, and Macheath was based on an actual real person, the highwayman Jack Sheppard. But as the work is nearing completion, the actor playing the role of Macheath demanded that another song be added to the show to help develop his character. Probably more so to help develop his career, but he used the word character.
Right.
Fair.
Right. What's my motivation?
Exactly. I think I need another moment. So, of course, the actor figured that he would be the one singing this song, but Kurt Weill was like, we'll give you this song. We'll give you another character song here, but ended up having another character sing it.
Oh, just to
Aw.
twist the
just-
knife.
Yeah,
Damn.
absolutely.
Oh, nice.
And so it ends up being sung by kind of a narrator in the show. Quick aside about Jack Sheppard. He was a bit of a folk hero, actually. He stood 5'4", so approximately 1 Frizz in height.
Hey.
I'm 5'6". I'm 1 Frizz and change.
And change.
And he was very slightly built. And he was trying to be a carpenter. But without much size or muscle mass, it wasn't going that well for him, this very physical work. So he did what a lot of people did, and he fell in love with alcohol.
Yeah, fair. Same.
And a local prostitute named Edgeworth Bess.
Edgeworth Bess?
Yeah.
Her first name was Edgeworth?
That sounds like a fake name.
Oh, Edgeworth was the area that Bess frequented?
That's my guess, is that she is Bess of Edgeworth.
Okay, I got there. Yep.
Edgeworth is not a sexy name.
No, you're not going to scroll through your phone looking for a booty call and be like, Edgeworth.
It's very pragmatic. Pragmatic Bess.
Yeah. Pragmatic Bess.
The practical one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after some petty theft together, because look, if Edgeworth likes anything, it's some petty theft and tiny carpenters. He befriended a real baddie known as Blueskin.
Okay, these names.
Sounds like a pirate. What era are we in?
Yeah.
Give me a decade.
This is early 1700s.
Wow.
Whoa.
Early. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it.
So together, Blueskin, Edgeworth, and Jack drank a lot, stole some more, and then together, Blueskin and Jack, according to what I read, spent time with local sex workers.
Playing chess.
Just spend time with them.
Yeah. could be
Playing
telling stories.
solitaire.
bop it.
Yeah.
Bop it. Twist it. Pull it.
So with this lifestyle, naturally, it doesn't take too long for Jack to be arrested. And so he was, but his first escape was apparently a sight to behold. So Jack, together with a woman named Bess, different Bess,
Oh. Okay.
different Bess,
So many Bessies
Shorted.
at the time.
so
Bess.
many Besses, tied bed sheets together to climb out of the jail
Yes.
and over a 22-foot wall.
Absolutely.
Now, what makes this a sight is, again, that Jack is very, very, very slightly built and not tall. And Bess was the exact opposite. She was quite buxom,
Love it.
very tall.
Tag yourself. I'm Bess.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. So together, they climbed over a 22-foot wall on bed sheets.
This must have been a sight to be seen. And what a classic way through the bed sheets.
I know. I feel like I was just talking about this on a recent episode, and I was like, has anyone ever actually done this? It's like
One
a
person.
movie trope. Okay. No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sneaking out of your house at midnight and you tie, which, by the way, who has more than at least 2 to 3 bed sheets? Like, they
In
have like
prison,
10
how
bed
are you
sheets.
getting
How do you even have a
this
sheet
many
in
bed
prison?
sheets?
Yeah.
In
Exactly.
the 1710 or whatever.
Right. First off, Shout out to England for even giving them bed sheets
I know.
in the early
you think there'd just be some
1700s.
dirty hay on the floor.
That's what I've been led to believe.
Shout out to all the prison homies who offered their bed sheets for their escape, apparently.
You know it was a tag team plan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I couldn't get a knot tight enough,
No.
Right? That's too thick.
right?
So this cartoonish escape, it happened. What's Jack do? Same shit he did before. Alcohol, sex workers, blue skin.
Dope.
Ends up being arrested 4 more times,
Oh.
each of them with ridiculous and absurd escapes.
I feel like prisons back in the day were really shitty, but also like if you got out, it was like fair game, like fair enough. You
Yeah.
got out.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, good on you, governor.
Yeah.
So after his next escape, he's arrested again. And this time they're like, you know what? We're not even giving you the chance. We're just going to hang you. When this was decided, the streets were full of crying women. Because by this point in time, Jack is quite popular.
Ah.
They've heard tell of him.
Pray tell. But don't fear, women of ye old England, if any of you happen to be listening via time travel technology. Jack had a plan. His friend Daniel Defoe, who, interestingly enough, was the author of Robinson Crusoe.
Yes. And
Wow.
Journal of a Plague Year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Defoe's publisher, what they were going to do is they're going to let Jack hang and then immediately go and take his body 15 minutes after hanging, exactly 15 minutes after hanging. And then they were going to bring him back to life. This is the plan.
Oh no. They're like, don't
What
worry
a
about
plan.
it. We got this.
Yeah, it's going to work. Trust me, it's going to work.
Just let me die for 15 minutes and you can bring me back.
But apparently there was some rumor that you could actually be brought to life 15 minutes after hanging.
Okay.
Oh, that's what you want to
Well,
base your life
probably
on.
somebody was hanged and, wasn't actually dead, but looked pretty dead. And then they
Mhm.
chanted over him and then he revived and they were
Right.
like, we brought him back to life.
We got
did it.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Just do exactly what they did and it'll work every time.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's rare, but there were people that survived a hanging.
Right.
But nobody told the sad women of ye old England. And so once Jack was dropped, they rushed the gallows and all just pulled down on his body to make his death quicker and less painful.
Yes.
So dead. Dead.
Oh my God.
Because he was so light that it's possible that he could have survived.
Right.
Right.
Oh, no.
So at this point, Defoe in the back with his publisher, like, yeah, we're not trying.
Never
He's
mind.
he's
That
gone.
neck looks real broken.
So that's the character, right?
Mhm.
So back to Threepenny Opera very bluntly describes Macheath and his crimes, which in the original include tons of murder, but also rape, and pretty graphically described as well. And this was in German. It was first translated into English and recorded by the amazing, wonderful Louis Armstrong.
Mhm.
But he made a few changes because Louis Armstrong was this very jovial figure,
Mm-hmm.
very celebrated person. The last thing this guy is going to do is talk about sex crimes, rape,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that type of thing. So he left in the murder, and it's the cheeriest murder song ever.
Truly.
When the shark bites.
Yeah, so
look at
good.
You immediately snapping along.
So
Right.
good.
So the murders are left in, but all of the other stuff's taken out. But where they filled the space is in that last verse where they just start listing victims, like Suki Tawdry
Yes.
Oh,
and all of that.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's where that actually was originally placed.
Ah.
So my personal favorite recording is Satchmo's, but again, I play trumpet and jazz, so I mean, no duh. But the definitive recording isn't his; it's Bobby Darin's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And it very nearly didn't happen because Bobby Darin at this point in time is an aspiring pop star. And the thought of him singing a jazz song from a German opera? No. Dick Clark, host of American Bandstand, told Darin that recording this is a terrible idea. But Darin just didn't pay attention to him. Thank
Good
goodness.
for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darin's version ends up hitting #1. And what makes it really cool is that there are a ton of key changes. So once you get about halfway through the song, each verse, he changes keys and goes up and up and up and up, which is adding tension to the recording.
You're so right. I don't think I ever noticed that. I think I noticed that in vibe, but not I never actively noticed that.
No, you feel the
listening to it.
tension added to it.
Yeah.
It's because he's changing keys, which, by the way, is not that easy to sing. So Bobbie Darin delivers a killer performance.
Yeah.
And really, the last thing I have to say is that another version of it that I would love to mention is Ella Fitzgerald's,
Really
which
good.
is also a hit.
Yep.
I have a vinyl record with her singing that live, and she shouts out Louis Armstrong, I'm sorry.
I always thought it
And-
was Louis, too. It's Louis?
I did too.
The only time on recording that he ever said his own name, he says Lewis and hard emphasizes it.
Okay. So he prefers Louis, is what we can get
Mhm.
from that. Okay.
Yeah.
And the only people I've ever met that actually knew him always called him Lewis.
Okay. Fair.
So,
Louis.
but I am glad that you mentioned that shout out because there's a real interesting reason why that happens on this live recording.
Mm-hmm.
Ella did something she never did. Ella fucked up. Ella, as a performer, had perfect pitch, which means she never misses a note unless she chooses to. She also had perfect time, which meant she never sped up or slowed down unless she wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
These are just natural gifts that she has, and you cannot train those. You have it or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
Ella fumbled over the words live.
Yeah.
To cover it, she dips into this impression of her best friend, Louis Armstrong,
Okay.
Very
and
clever.
just starts kind of scatting as Louis Armstrong. All right, so that is my overview of Mac the Knife. It's like lyrically, it totally spells it out. Shark has pretty teeth, kills this person, this person, this person, this person, this person, this person.
It's so funny because I think because of the time period when I always, first I heard the Bobbie Darin version mostly, and then I heard the Louis Armstrong version, of course, and much, much later, the Ella. But I guess I always assumed it was about the mob, like mob
I think I
hits.
always thought that too. And I think it's just because of the jovial nature. I thought they were just kind of poking at the mob in that era.
Yeah.
But never did I think it was about exactly what you explained, something specific like this.
Yeah.
I thought it was just the general mob.
Yeah, so the next time you hear it, what I want you to imagine is a 5'4" failed carpenter whose best friend his name is Blueskin climbing over a 22-foot wall on tied bed sheets.
I will.
Because that's the origin.
That's a good cocktail party story. Be like, you think this is
It
about
really
the mob?
is.
Let me tell you about Blueskin and Jack, not Mac. Get it right.
An Edgeworth Bess.
An Edgeworth Bess, my best friend.
I know.
Okay,
That
that was
I'm gonna name
awesome.
my next child Edgeworth Bess.
I want to name a dog Edgeworth Bess.
Edgeworth Bess. And then all of your dogs' names can just be nicknames of Elizabeth. Eliza,
That's right.
Edgeworth Bess. Yeah. That'd be great.
That's a good theme.
All right, who's taking the next one?
I can go next if you'd like.
Sure.
I chose Hurricane by Bob Dylan.
Here comes the story of the hurricane, the man the authorities came to blame for something that he never done.
So Hurricane by Bob Dylan was released in 1975, and it tells a story that took place just 8 years prior. Reuben Hurricane Carter was a successful African-American middleweight boxer from 1961 until 1966 when he was wrongly accused and convicted with his friend John Artis, who was also black, of a triple murder in Paterson, New Jersey. Carter grew up in a really poor, predominantly African-American neighborhood, had a really troubled childhood home life. And at only 11 years old, police arrested Carter for assaulting a man with a Boy Scout knife. He's 11 years old.
Oh.
Carter claimed that the man was a pedophile who was preying on him and his friends and attempting to sexually assault them. However, instead of investigating the accused pedophile, Carter was promptly convicted and sentenced to 7 years in juvenile prison. So this is not a great start to your childhood already.
No.
And somehow
Maybe the worst
none
start.
of this surprises me.
Exactly.
Right.
1960,
Right.
what was this?
Let me guess the race of the pedophile.
Exactly.
It's the
So
first bubble when you fill a standardized test out.
So while he's in juvie, he eventually runs away and he joined the army. He was sent to Germany after boot camp, and while in the army, he took up boxing. He was eventually discharged as unfit for military service because he underwent 4 court-martials for various behavioral and discipline offenses.
So what I'm going to guess is that we're building a profile of a very angry man that ultimately is going to be
Yes.
used against him, right?
Right.
Which is exactly why I wanted to go into his childhood before getting into the nitty-gritty of why this song exists, is because There's a 1999 movie called The Hurricane, which features Denzel Washington.
Yep.
Oh.
And it covers Carter's
Another
life.
hunk.
Yes, but the movie, absolute hunk. The movie glosses over the reality of this period in Reuben's life. I think it's because it's Hollywood and everything, and obviously everything's glossy and beautiful. But it's important to mention because Carter's difficulty in dealing with military authority and his history of juvenile delinquency are part of his story, but his experience with the juvenile justice system also does not directly connect to the events that resulted in his wrongful conviction years later.
Mm-hmm.
It was brought, obviously, to the courtroom against him, and it's important to say that these don't equal the other.
Right.
Yeah, if anything, it would be mitigating circumstances. You know what I mean? Not
Right.
to like, yeah.
Exactly. So in the start of his post-Army boxing career, he quickly earned the name Hurricane due to his lightning fast and powerful punches, as well as his super exceptional talent for getting just quick knockouts. And in the 1960s, he turned pro as a boxer. He launched a remarkable career and launched him into becoming a leading contender for the World Middleweight Championship. So this guy was going places.
Mm-hmm.
Reuben starts getting heavily into activism in the early 1960s. And if we know anything about the government, they hate that. They begin marching.
Track a lot of people and
Ex-
blackmail a lot of
Mm-hmm.
civil rights activists. And yeah.
Exactly. So he begins marching nonviolently alongside Martin Luther King Jr. He started becoming a figure.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until the riots in Watts and Harlem in 64 and 65, which left 13 black children dead from police bullets, that Reuben became a black Muslim and started to shift gears in front of the press by advocating for black people to start fighting back against these injustices. This inevitably puts a target on his back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Big.
Yeah. Then at 2 a.m. on June 17th, 1966, allegedly, 2 black men enter a bar and killed 2 white men and a woman, while also injuring a 3rd man. Reuben had been bar hopping that night and was giving his friend John Artis a ride home until they were stopped by the police. So many things were wrong with the evidence against them after being arrested. Despite not fitting the description of the shooters, except for being black, they were taken into custody, interrogated, and both passed their lie detector tests with ease.
Mm-hmm.
The police presented them to the witness who had survived the attack, and he was adamant that they were not the guys who did it. The woman who was shot miraculously survived, and while in the hospital, she provided the police with a very detailed description of the men who shot her point blank in front of her. They were right in front of
Yeah.
her.
Let me guess. Looks nothing like Reuben Carter.
Yes.
Okay.
When she was presented with a lineup featuring Reuben and John, she didn't even identify them and pointed out 2 completely different individuals. So she has given them 2 different individuals.
So they have nothing.
absolutely nothing.
They actively have things against
Yeah.
the nothing.
Right.
Yeah. Also, the sketch of the person who did it is like a 5-year-old drew it.
Is it like that Leprechaun in Mobile police
Oh.
sketch?
That's exactly what it looks like.
The best thing to ever grace the internet.
Mm-hmm.
That is my favorite, one of my favorite videos of all time.
Oh, the amateur sketch.
It's incredible. I want to show this to you guys.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's the amateur sketch that they used to incriminate these 2 men.
The artist sketch, not amateur, by the way. It says artist sketch.
Oh, yeah, the artist sketch.
They did do a good job with the plaid. I'll give them that.
yeah, they really worked on the plaid. The hat is egregious.
Yes.
Why is one side of the hat straight up and the other side is so slanted, like a sideways fedora?
Yeah, I could do a better hat, and that's saying a lot.
Like, I feel like, not to toot my own horn, I'm no artiste, but I could do slightly better than this if given the time.
There's really only one defining feature of this. A black man plaid. That's it.
In plaid.
Yes.
With an extremely narrow, elongated nose.
Witness accounts say that the man that shot was wearing all black, all dark clothing. So that makes a
So
lot
even
of
the
sense.
plaid.
He wasn't even wearing plaid.
You know,
Even
I don't
the
think
plaid
so.
is
Sketch
off.
doesn't matter.
The person, the artist was just like, you know what, let's throw some pizzazz on
He
this
was
guy.
hatless and wearing all black. And he had a pug nose.
And had glasses.
Great, I'm on it.
This is feeling South Parky We're like, he's coming right for us.
Right? It doesn't feel real.
No.
So, not to mention that there are two different guys named Alfred and Arthur Bello, and they were career criminals that had been burglarizing the neighborhood at the same time as the murders happened. And they claimed to have seen two black men exit the bar after the shooting started. These guys agreed to imply that it was Reuben and John in order to get their own charges dropped against them.
Man, those jailhouse, snitches, it's not.
Yeah.
They get stitches.
You really
They're
do.
not.
And you really got to take that testimony with a grain of salt. If you're offering up deals for information, to me, that's a bribe.
Absolutely.
I knew that this whole case was this web of lies and bullshit. I didn't realize it was this
Right.
bullshit. I thought there'd at least be one grain of truth in it.
Right.
No, it's the worst, one of the worst cases for evidence or lack of that I've ever seen.
I didn't know that
And-
Reuben Carter was already being targeted by the authorities for his activism.
Which heightens
which
heightens this whole situation a lot. There was no murder weapon ever found, no gunpowder tests ever performed to see if either of them had recently fired a gun, and no bloodstains on any of their clothes after a triple shooting, and Reuben Carter was wearing an all-white suit that night.
Again, not plaid. Not
Absolutely.
plaid.
Or
Not
black.
plaid. Yes.
All white.
There's no rhyme or reason.
If you're going to commit a crime in the night, I don't think you'd wear an all-white suit.
Right?
I wouldn't, unless it was winter.
Yeah. Like a polar bear, like how polar bears hunt.
Right?
So Carter had some notoriety in the neighborhood, and people knew who he was. He was kind of like a local famous icon.
I mean, he's a contender for middleweight champion, right? Still.
Yes, exactly. So
Right.
he's a local legend. He was able to provide tons of witness statements to say he was anywhere but the crime scene at the time of the murders. And when he took the stand, he wore the same cream-colored suit he wore the night when he was arrested to prove against the witness testimony that stated the shooters wore dark clothing. So he's really saying a big fuck you.
Yeah.
Right.
After all this, an all-white jury,
An
no
all
big surprise.
cream-colored jury.
I am stunned.
jury,
Wearing plaid.
an all-white jury convicted both Reuben at 29 years old and John at 20 years old on all counts, sentencing them to life in prison. So while in prison, Carter became a prominent activist and advocate for prisoners' rights. He also wrote several books, including his autobiography that changed his life. He titled it The 16th Round from Number 1 Contender to Number 45472.
That is a
heartbreaking.
great title, though.
It is a great title. This book helped to draw the attention of all the public and celebrities to this case, especially after Bob Dylan got a hold of the book. He visited Carter in prison for a total of 2 hours and took notes on everything Carter told him about his experience. Bob Dylan writes one of the biggest songs, but for no reason other than to bring awareness to Carter's story. This was not for Bob Dylan, this was for Carter. He played it on his 1975 Rolling Thunder Revue tour and even organized multiple benefit concerts in Madison Square Garden
Hell
in New
yes.
York City called The Night of the Hurricane in order to raise money, national attention, and support for his legal defense. That's super fucking cool.
Yeah, it is.
This concert had super big names like Joan Baez, Roberta Flack, Stevie Wonder, Isaac Hayes, Dr. John, Sean Phillips, Ringo Starr, Stephen Stills, Richie Havens, Carlos Santana,
Wow.
and so many more. So
Damn.
he brought
Yeah.
out the big bangers. Even Muhammad Ali was there, marching in protest for Carter's freedom and donating a good deal of his own money to it, which is super cool to see the boxing community
come together
to his defense as well.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali, what an incredible human being. We just went,
Honestly.
I just have family in town, and so we went and visited his grave at Cave Hill Cemetery. Just
Bob and I went there, and it was really surreal. It's definitely a moment a place you take a moment,
Yeah.
and you don't just rush
an
through that.
amazing human. Yeah.
Incredible. And also, like Carter, was also hunted down by the government in many ways for being outward an activist. So at this point in 1976, with all the attention back on the case, those two knucklehead witnesses that had
Fuck those
testified them
guys.
against during the trial, they recant their statement. The lawyers start going through all the trial and evidence all over again, piece by piece, with all this attention on it, and they have a 6-week trial of debunking all the evidence that never added up. And a jury deliberates for 9 hours and re-sentences them to prison. It's now been 15 years, and John is now 35, and Carter is 44 when they went in as 20-year-olds. In 1985, Judge H. Lee Sorokin of the Federal District Court in Newark overturned the triple murder convictions of Reuben and John. The judge ruled that the prosecution's baseless racial revenge theory was unconstitutional and found that a recorded polygraph test that would have impeached Bello, one of the brothers that testified against them, would have impeached his crucial trial testimony and had been withheld from prosecution during the trial.
It's maybe my own assessment of the slow, very slow progress of America. But it still surprises me that this is as early as 85, that there was a judge willing to say that.
Yeah.
And that's sad, but it surprises me.
Oh,
I mean, me too.
This is still ongoing. It's not like we've gotten anywhere close to solving this issue.
No.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the judge stated that the convictions were based on an appeal to racism rather than reason, concealment rather than disclosure. Fucking snaps for this guy. It took 3 years for the Supreme Court to finally uphold this decision and finally overturn the convictions of these innocent men. On January 11th, 1988, all charges were dismissed against Reuben and John, and their records were expunged. They are now free men after nearly 19 years in prison.
Wow.
So after his release from prison, Carter moves to Toronto, Canada, where
Don't
he
blame him.
continued to work.
Get the fuck out of here.
He's like, fuck America, I'm out.
I don't want so much as a speeding ticket. Like, get me out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he continued to work as a civil rights activist and advocate for the wrongly convicted. John then went to work with youthful offenders to prepare them and protect them from the justice system and away from criminal activity. So they're definitely, their lives after this are all geared towards
Helping
everything
the
that happened to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Eventually, Carter dies of prostate cancer in 2014 at the age of 76. Despite the controversy surrounding the case, he is remembered as a symbol of perseverance for the fight in justice. And John got married and moved to Hampton, Virginia, where he eventually recently passed away in 2001 due to an abdominal aneurysm at 75 years old. So they did go on to live long lives after prison. But I mean, Dylan's song helps raise awareness of Carter's case, and it completely changed the trajectory of their time in prison and changed their lives, got them freedom.
Yeah, that's using your literal microphone for good.
Yeah.
I also love Ani DeFranco's version.
It's so good.
I've never heard it.
Frizz! I love Ani DeFranco, and she has a great version of The Hurricane.
Oh, nice.
You're going to be obsessed.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So there's really just 2 points that I want to make in reflection of that. One, Frizz, thank you for that story and giving that information. Reuben Carter, what a life. And talk about just being shit on by everything, but never stopping trying to make things better. And that is
Since
admirable.
He was a child, and it is admirable.
And a lot of people say a lot of things about Bob Dylan. He is definitely not my favorite musician.
Same.
That man knew how to write a song that told a story that made you feel something. And that's a skill. And he really did bring a lot of eyes to this case.
Yes.
So
Definitely.
good for him.
Well done.
Thank you.
Kenyon,
Thank you. But I'm super excited for
you
Kenyon.
teased Chattahoochee.
Should we do that? Should we start with that?
I want to go to the Chattahoochee.
Okay. So one of my songs that I chose was Ode to Billy Joe.
Today, Billy Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. Papa said
I am massively in love with Bobbie Gentry because she is maybe the biggest badass of all time. She's fantastic.
Yes, I'm so excited. I know nothing about her, and I love this song as well, so I'm stoked to hear what you know.
She's really fabulous. So, Ode to Billy Joe, if you don't know it, is a haunting and enigmatic song written and performed by Bobbie Gentry, an American singer-songwriter, and she wrote it in 1967. The song was released as a single and quickly gained widespread popularity, reaching number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, and it earned multiple Grammy nominations. It's definitely Gentry's most famous song, but she has lots of frickin' jams. And it's this blend of like folk, really, really stripped down, pared back country, which I guess is folk music. I guess I just described folk music.
Americana.
Yeah, Americana.
Americana, that's a good one.
And Southern Gothic storytelling. So The songs that I chose, I guess, are more like Southern Gothic than strict murder ballads, I would say. Because
I love that. You're leaning full into the Louisville.
Yes, I am.
You're fully embracing your location and everything.
Did you just Vogue, Frizz?
You know, I always, when I'm not voguing, I'm sleeping.
I woke up like this. Okay. So this song is actually fictional.
Okay.
But it's like a thinker. It's like a puzzler. You have to like unwrap it like a, mystery. Ooh. It tells the story of a fictional event that took place in the Mississippi Delta where Bobbie Gentry is from. There's the Tallahatchie River and there's a bridge over it called the Tallahatchie Bridge.
I'm looking at it.
And in the song, the narrator is a young woman, and she recounts a conversation she had with her family about the news that a person named Billie Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And you kind of have to figure out why, and there isn't necessarily one answer.
Did she write this song, or was it a cover of?
She wrote it. Okay. There's lots of really vivid details, and it's describing like the events leading up to what is a lot of reports call it an apparent suicide. I don't know that we could necessarily definitively say it's a suicide. I think it's being billed as a suicide, but I think there's a little bit of room left in the story for like, did anyone see him jump off the bridge, or were you told he jumped off the bridge? Could he have been thrown off the bridge? Because the lyrics also talk about something else being thrown off the bridge, which is a mystery item.
Love a good mystery item.
It's all mystery.
I love that it's up for interpretation.
Yes. So there's a lot of like speculation and analysis about the song and like mystery and intrigue, like we said. It touches on various themes, including family dynamics, societal expectations, and then just like life in like the very, very rural, pretty poor South Mississippi Delta.
Yeah.
Where Bobbie Gentry did grow up. So she knows what she's talking about and singing about. So there are some hints at possible reasons for why this character, Billie Joe McAllister, might have jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And there's hints at a romantic relationship with the narrator in the song. Ooh. But it's all really subtle. So the hint at it is, weren't you talking to Billie Joe outside of church on Sunday? And someone saw someone who looked a lot like you with Billie Joe up on Choctaw Ridge.
Which we all know is where you go to make out.
1,000%. No question. Choctaw Ridge is make out point.
At the sawmill.
Yes. Then seeing Billie Joe and someone who looks a lot like the narrator throw something, quote unquote, off the Tallahatchie Bridge before his suicide, or maybe not. The performance is also just really amazing. Like,
it's top shelf.
You sent us that video, and it's just so honest. It feels very personal, very alluring.
It toes the line of storytelling and giving you everything you want, but withholding just enough.
Exactly.
So you want to dig.
Exactly. So one of the things that's really great about it is that the way that the story is told is the narrator and her brother. The narrator's a teenage girl. She and her brother are like doing chores around their Mississippi Delta home. They come in, their mom calls the family in for dinner. And then as they're serving and eating dinner, the mom is telling this gossip news about that she heard that Billie Joe McAllister jumped off the Tallahatchie Bridge. And the rest of the family members are taking in this news, which is very tragic news, but they're very blasé about it. And so the dad says like, oh, you know, he never had a lick of sense, and pass the black-eyed peas. And so in that moment, you know, okay, this narrator is hearing this news that someone that she's had a romantic link with is dead. And she's sitting down to dinner, and then her mom says, you know, oh, you've lost your appetite, you know, and everyone around.
Which implies that they never knew what's going on between the two of them.
Or they knew, but they're ignoring it. So I have a theory. Also, it's entirely fictional. So it's not like anyone can be right. But my interpretation when I first heard the song was that the parents of the narrator didn't like Billie Joe McAllister for their daughter.
Yes.
They saw them hanging out. They weren't having it. And they offed Billie Joe.
That is a good idea, because also I'm looking at the lyrics right now, and she says, like, after she questions her about her appetite, I've been cooking all morning, you haven't had a bite. She says, that nice young preacher, Brother Taylor, dropped by today.
Correct.
Talking about another boy.
Immediately just trying to slide somebody
after.
in.
Exactly. Why
That's
don't we
shady as
steer
fuck.
you to the person we want
Well,
you to
bless
date?
his heart.
Mhm.
Oh, that's shady.
And adding to that theory is at the end of the song, the narrator talks about her brother got married and bought a store in Tupelo, Mississippi. And so it's kind of setting up the life that the parents wanted for their kids, right?
Yes.
Yes. So anyway, that's always been my theory.
I think you are onto something there, and I'm going to forever believe that now in the lyrics.
Yeah, it's juicy
Much
and
more
it's murder.
chisme.
And
It's juicy. It's sassy. It's murdery.
Yeah.
yeah,
I love it.
You're the crime expert here.
sure.
I know. I trust your opinion.
So that's always been my theory. And like the parents trying to be extra blasé about it to cover up that they've done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was always my thing. But like I said, it's an entirely fictional song. And when Bobbie Gentry has been asked to describe or explain it or talk about the meaning of it for her, she's always kind of demurred. She said in an interview that she never even told her own mother the meaning of the song, and she's never told anyone what the narrator and Billie Joe McAllister threw off the Tallahatchie Bridge.
Respect.
So there have been theories of it was a wedding ring. It was a baby. Like they, you know,
Okay.
like a...
Ooh, that would be juicy too. Like
Brad Pitt's
they had a
hair
baby
dryer.
together.
yeah. Or flowers, because at the end of the song, the narrator is, she's kind of haunted by this death the rest of her life, and she spends a lot of time up there and throws flowers off the bridge to honor Billie Joe.
A great song leaves enough room for imagination.
Right?
And this does it in spades.
Yes, it's so captivating.
I really, really love when an artist just chooses not to say a word or hint at it. Just lets it sit there. Like Alanis Morissette's You Ought to Know. We don't know if it's about Uncle Joey, and
It
that's
totally
okay.
is about Uncle Joey. But anyways.
And that's okay. But like, I just love that there's no confirming or denying. It's just whatever you want it to be, you make it. That's what music's about. And I love when an artist respects that aspect.
Our past guest, The Well, when we asked about their songs and the immediate reaction they had was, we wrote it and we recorded it, and now it's your decision.
Yeah. You take and do with it what
Kind
you
of like a
want.
great
We've done
work
our
of
part.
fiction, you know? A
Yeah,
lot of authors do that. I also thought it was really interesting that Bobbie Gentry, when she recorded this song, didn't have a budget to make a demo tape with a professional singer. So she recorded this song and another song just herself, just to pitch it to her record company. She just knocked it so out of the park that they were like, okay, this is the song.
This is the version.
Wow.
This is the version. You're the singer. You're perfection.
Oh, she's seriously perfection.
They did then add 4 violins and 2 cellos, apparently, to the song, but her live performances are mostly just her and her guitar. There's rumor of a 7-minute recording version of the song that was cut down to 5 minutes for radio airplay, but that has never been confirmed. There were some additional verses that she wrote that are included in the University of Mississippi library as a manuscript, but I haven't been able to find those.
Interesting.
Just a couple more things about Bobbie Gentry. So she grew up in the Mississippi Delta, but when she was a teenager, she moved to Los Angeles. And when she went to college, she studied philosophy. So she's really like a thinker. And what she has said about this song is that what she wanted to point out was people's lack of ability to empathize with others' tragedy. So she wanted to portray the callousness and the apathy and all of that of the family members who are sitting so close physically to the narrator, but are so separate
far.
and oblivious from her pain.
Meanwhile, we get to hear all this pain in these lyrics to
Right.
be able to understand what she's going through, but they have no idea, nor do they care to hear.
Right. Past the black-eyed peas. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why aren't you
Yeah.
eating? You know? Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, here's a new man.
Yeah. Oh, here.
Yeah.
Exactly. Here, start fresh. It's all fine. Who cares?
Mm-hmm.
So in November 1967, Bobbie Gentry called the song a, quote, study in unconscious cruelty.
Wow.
Yeah. I love it so much.
I love her perspective. I love how thoughtful she is in creating this song. And, you know, I think we're in a time right now in music where a lot of things are just being pumped out. And that's not to say that not a lot of great artists are creating incredible art, but there is a pumping out nature for the industry.
But that's been there since the 50s, and it's never going away.
And it has been for sure. But I do love these pockets of smaller artists, because Bobbie Gentry, yeah, she's big, but she is not huge. Like not a lot of people know about her in a lot of different generations. And I love that she puts so much thought into what she wants this to represent.
So apparently she was really, really huge in the late 60s and 70s. And then she just chose to leave it all behind.
Dang.
She literally just chose to she was like, okay, now I'm done. And I'm just going to live a completely private life. So she's still alive. She's totally private, offline, doesn't lead a public life at all anymore by choice.
Good for her.
Yeah. She's just like a very cool lady who just was like, okay, I'm just going to crush this completely on my own. I think she designed a lot of her stage outfits, played guitar, sang, wrote, crushed it.
And then moved on. Honestly,
I like her a lot.
Goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Goals.
So that's my first song.
Good
Knocked
song.
it out of the park.
Thank you.
I really appreciate this perspective because I always just listened to it and thought it was a nice folksy song. It was in playlists that I had and I would listen to it in the back burner, but I never once actively listened to the lyrics. I just kind of grooved to it.
And I fucking
But
love
putting it into
Southern
perspective.
Gothic.
I love Southern
Me
Gothic.
too.
Yeah.
Yes, that is outro music you're hearing. And yes, this is the end of part 1, but don't you worry, everybody. There is a part 2 while Kenyon, Frizz, and myself dig into another juicy, sensational, murdery song. And you can hear that over on our feed, which is Rhythm on the Rocks, and that's on all podcasting platforms. We hope you give it a listen. Until then, great minds drink alike. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Kala Yip, music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell, editing by Jonathan Camp. Check out our website and blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, basically wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support, visit our Patreon page to keep this podcast and the wine flowing. Cheers!